does Ea mean? It means that there is no higher authority than us or the entity that we choose to vest our Ea in. So there is no country of a higher authority. There's not the US, not the United Nations. The only power that exists higher, the only authority higher would be Na Akua or Ko Akua. That's the gods or your God. So that's very, very different from the narrative that's been pushed for the last 125 years, which is that Hawaii was stolen and that the Hawaiian kingdom was overthrown. That belief leaves us in the position where we're feeling like we need to beg or convince or wait for the United States to do pono by us. That is a position of despair, especially in the knowledge of the United States history and the fact that they have never been pono to peoples like us, peoples who they label as indigenous peoples, which is their kind way of saying savage, uncivilized people who are incapable of self-governance. Never been pono.
For me, what sovereignty would mean is living it, breathing it, and being it. When I say that, knowing the truth that we are illegally occupied, knowing that the truth we are occupied, and knowing that there is no treaty of annexation, reclaiming myself as a Kanaka Maoli, connected back to my ancestral lands. Sovereignty for me is living it every day. Even though I have to be caught in the matrix because we all have to eat, but mentally emancipated, and free.
Sovereignty means to me, when I think of that word, not having to fight so hard every day. Sovereignty to me means I don't get up exhausted every single day and think about how I'm going to save the next little bitty piece of sacredness that we have left, or how can I ensure that our life ways will continue. I believe in our nature beings. I believe in the spirit world. I believe in Poliahu, Mo'oina Nea. I believe in Mauna Awakea, my kupuna, my leader, my chief, my guide, my corrector, my protector, my grandparent, as a akua to me. And when I say that, I'm sovereign.
The Western definition, is to be able to govern your own self. And so that's the Western kind of philosophy. The philosophy that I am more familiar with was, the inherent right to that was given to us by our Creator, which at the time He gave us our language, gave us our songs. He gave us the knowledge to get up and make speeches, to lead the people, to help the people. So that's what sovereignty means to me.
I think my view on things are different than many people will talk about, because I actually use the word sovereignty in my personal life as kuleana. And kuleana in a sense of what does sovereignty really mean? And not just for the Hawaiian people, but for the world. And in this case, in our case, in the Hawaiian Islands, the Hawaiian people, the Hawaiian culture, the lack of sovereignty meant something very, very wrong was done and continues to be done. And so my kuleana is to try to make it right, not just for Hawaiian people, not just for the islands, but for the people who caused that to happen. Because I do feel we're all part of the same culture, the same race. Whether I'm American, whatever we are, I'm a human race. And when some humans do things wrong against other humans, and in this case, sovereignty for the Hawaiian people is really for the betterment of everybody. We learn different values. The people who caused us learn different values. Then I think it's my kuleana to work on that, and that is why I do what I do. I try to be able to communicate with all people involved, because all people are part of this. So what does sovereignty to me mean? It means if we ever get to the point that we receive sovereignty in the Hawaiian Islands for the Hawaiian people, then we've overcome many of the obstacles and many of the wrongs that affect the values and the existence of cultures throughout the world. So sovereignty for the Hawaiian people, for me, is a kuleana for the entire world on my part. I need to correct, do my best to correct, make the effort to show others that we have a kuleana to correct wrongs so that things are right for everyone.
Sovereignty to me is getting back into Haloa, getting back into the lepo. Do I get mud on top of me or down? Living that, being reconnected to who I am as a Kanaka. And what is my responsibility? What is my kuleana that comes with after the reawakening and an emancipation from the matrix mentally?
Sovereignty to me is much more than just a political thought. Sovereignty to me is the complete control of your natural resources. Yeah, that includes all your water, all your land, all your shores. Sovereignty is the ultimate control of your resources. That's the bottom line. Right now, I have my little setup over here. This is my 18th biennial vigil in a row. So 18 years I've been doing this. And so that's part of patriotism. I come down here not only to hold the ground down and to say that we're present at the palace, but also to attract other people who have ideas that they want to share. And this is a good place to do it, yeah? One of the rules in international law is you have to return to the scene of the crime. And this is the scene of the crime. So I do this in January 17th with the overthrow, and on July 4th, which is the day, it's a dual purpose. I'm protesting Independence Day because we're not independent from them, and it's also the day that they self-announced the Republic of Hawaii, which led to annexation, of course.
To me, I now know that we have always been sovereign. It's not something new of the last 10, 20 years, because today we are learning that our kingdom still exists. So we are still an independent nation state.
As Kanaka Maoli, we can do what we want in our kingdom where we live. We make the decisions to build things and how to use our lands, our waters, how and where to grow our food. That is what sovereignty is. Sovereignty means that we make the decisions about what's happening around us. It's not being a part of a group. It's not, oh, you're that sovereignty guy. Everybody is born with sovereignty. Everybody in Hawaii, in America, in every nation has their own sovereignty. But we can decide what to do with our sovereignty and by controlling our aina and our environment in our country.
I really believe in the idea that as Hawaiians, as Kanaka Maoli, we're entitled to 2 million acres of land that the state currently holds in trust for us as Kanaka Maoli, and we need to reform our nation in order to get back control of these lands. And sovereignty, it means a lot to a lot of us in different ways, and everyone's fighting in their own way, which is really beautiful. Some of us are at the UN, some of us are growing kalo and growing our own food, some of us are practicing cultural Hawaiian traditions, and it's a beautiful thing. But always as Kanaka Maoli, our connection is with the aina, our land. In our mo'okuauhau, it states that we are born from the land, and the land is our grandmother. The land is Papahanau Moku, the sky is Wakea. And it was their meeting that created the first Hawaiian, the first ali'i, and his name was Halua. So, and we all descend from this Halua. So we need to always remember that. We need to remember our mo'okuauhau whenever we talk about sovereignty and our connection to the land. Yes, we had a Hawaiian kingdom for about 83 years, but we were here for 2,000 years, and never forget that. Basically, we cannot have sovereignty without land. And the truth of the matter is that we are entitled to 2 million acres of land. That land, the resources, and all that goes with it. And we should never forget that. And that's what sovereignty is all about, fighting for that and fighting for who we are and keeping our culture and traditions alive.
Sovereignty for me means that my tribe and my people get to govern themselves. And so within the United States, there are nations that fully govern themselves, and when you cross into those lines or their reservation boundaries, you're stepping into a different country. And in our beliefs, you're stepping into an indigenous country. And in San Diego, when you cross the boundaries of the Viejas Reservation, you come into our nation, and our nation is the Kumeyaay Nation. And so sovereignty means that my tribe and my people fully govern themselves. We make decisions about our tribe, for our people, for our children, for our future, fully within ourselves.
It's a colonization terminology, but if I take the word literally, it means being an independent nation, not of this U.S. government. And what it means to us is we would have autonomy. We would be able to govern for ourselves and be sustainable and have land.
When I hear the word sovereignty, I know there's a lot of people that use it legally. There's a lot of different interpretations, meaning self-governance. But I guess with our community, because we are non-federal, we don't have a relationship with the federal government. And to me, when you are a self-sustaining people, not connected to any kind of an entity, especially with the United States government, that to me is an expression of sovereignty. Not ever having gone into any negotiations with the United States government really put us in a very difficult situation, but in many ways sovereignty is something that is the essence of who we are. Somebody had described us as wild Mustangs who they've never been able to capture and run through the hills in the midst of these huge transitions of land and development, but yet we still keep our spirits, and we still have our creative spirit, and we still identify and know who we are, and we still love our land, and we care for the water in the midst of the crisis and the chaos that's ongoing. To me, our souls haven't been eaten alive, and that's the truest essence of sovereignty.
One of the things when America gave us sovereignty, it really meant from the bottom of our feet to the top of our heads to make decisions, for families and for economic growth and so forth. But they did not give us sovereignty to the land. There's a big difference between the two. With others having a complete sovereignty with the earth and with their personal economic development, education, and so forth, you tie the two together. But with us, the Native people, sovereignty on the reservation is just from the bottom of our feet to the bottom of our head. So I think it's really important that we really understand what we have, and that will be the push to gain Mother Earth so that we can protect it the way we should protect it. But at this point, we don't have that. So sovereignty is really an individual way of the way you look at it. If you're satisfied with that, then you're satisfied with it. But I think what's really important is that the land has to be a part of our sovereignty, because that's our language, that's our religion, that's who we are. And then most importantly, we can protect it from everything else that's happening. So there's still work to be done, and I just hope that we're all on the same page on it so that we can really, really, really have sovereignty.
I think first, personally, sovereignty itself is that you have the ability to make your own decisions, that you have that sovereignty over yourself, and you're not being dictated to from some outside force that thinks they know better. That is a huge issue here in Hawaii, especially when you look at this question in context of this month, because we have Hoihoi Ea, which I think it translates to Restoration Day in English. For me, when I look at sovereignty here in Hawaii, I am a Kanaka Maoli, part of the indigenous population here. But Hawaiian is a nationality. And when I think of sovereignty, I don't think of, just my group. That's not culturally who we are. That's a very American way of thinking, that we say the plantation owner, how they would put people into their own camps based upon ethnicity or race. And that's not who we are culturally as Kanaka Maoli. And so when I look at sovereignty, I look at it for all of us, for all of our citizens. Because it's not just Kanaka Maoli that have suffered. It's all of our citizens that have suffered. You know, we look at the continued decline of actual citizens from our country as staying here in our country, being forced out and supplanted. I mean, this is colonization 101, you know, whether it's, you know, back in the day, the British Empire, in Jamaica or in India, you know, supplanting the local population is just part of that. And we have so many who are economic refugees in other countries, whether they're living in Mokuhonu or Turtle Island, so up in the mainland US, or even like myself, I almost didn't come back home. You know, I lived in Japan for close to 10 years because they had all of the things that a civilized country should have, which honestly, based on our own history and what we were doing in the 1800s in the kingdom, we would have now today. National health care, for example. You know, we started that with Queen Emma. In 1851, you've got the Department of Health, and then you have, you know, Queen's Hospital, which was paid for by taxes on the foreign goods that would come in, and it was a free hospital for our local population. And so you're looking into Kamehameha III, which Hoihoi Ea involves him. You know, the Restoration Day and all of that, he brought in compulsory education. So incredibly high literacy rates. We're talking 92 or 94%. And so education being valued, health of your citizens being valued, everyone across the board lost because we could no longer make those decisions for ourselves in our own country. And so that's why I say, you know, Hawaiian, it's a nationality. It's about all of our citizens and getting out of this illegal occupation by the US. When it comes to sovereignty, when it comes to Hoihoi Ea, when it comes to our citizens, it's about making choices that can help us. But you can't do that until you have freedom and sovereignty and agency over yourself to make those choices, to make those changes, to do repair the lack of food, the lack of farms, the lack of actual labor beyond the help or the entertainment, you know. So I really think that sovereignty for me is a very complex system that needs to be approached, and you have to have a plan. Anybody can say, oh, free Hawaii now, or yeah, you know, oh, this damn US. So what? What are you going to do about it? What is the plan?
What are we willing to do for our Hawaii? What are we willing to do to stand for everything that we hold dear? That, to me, is a patriot. And it doesn't mean you have to stand on the front line. It means do something beyond your comfort zone. Do something that will ensure that your grandchildren remember you and are proud of your deeds. Do something so that we're all not struggling to stand for what we believe in, what we hold dear for our Hawaii and our life ways and our spirit world. Patriotism to me is doing all of that. It's about being braver than my fear. It's about crawling to courage. It's about saying, I'll stand. That's what being a patriot is. I'll stand.
My personal patriotism to me means that I have a responsibility to assist my other patriots, all members of the Hawaiian culture and kingdom, to do the best we can to communicate within the world we are, to move ourselves to a place of pono, righteousness, and the restoration of the sovereignty.
I think for all of our kingdom's holidays, it's important for us to celebrate because it's a celebration of who we are. It's a celebration of our story. Yeah, it's important for us, no matter near or far from home, that we continue these mo'olelo and teach our children so that they know who they are no matter where they go. Our family chooses to not celebrate a lot of these American holidays. Instead of Thanksgiving, which we all know it's not something worth celebrating, we choose to celebrate Lono Iko Makahiki. La Hoihoi Ea, the same. It's a whole month of celebrations for us, La Ku'oko'a. So that's what it means to us. It's just reconnecting with who we are and connecting with all of you, no matter how near or far you are. We're all celebrating together who we are. So we wanted to, as a part of the celebration up there, be with you guys in our, our heart, our pu'uwai, our na'au, our aloha aina, and as well as our mele. So we wanted to share mele with all of you guys, and we're gonna do Guardians, a song that speaks of how we are the kia'i, the protectors.
Be the spark to relight the fire. Don't ever forget that we Hawaiian. Ever Pacific Ocean is where we come from. All one people under the sun, together as one. Time to stand and fight for all, not just some. Not run or succumb to the dumb ones. No offense, cause we're not trying to make trouble, but what you said you're taking is really more like double. Environment in rubble, tipping point is on the bubble. Fish you rustle, when the politicians you hustle. Our feathers get ruffled, when our cries get muffled. We all struggle while you cuddle and snuggle. When you smuggle, you laugh at us and chuckle. Taking what you like, flexing military muscle. But your reality
I don't feel very good about what some of the things that I see. I think that this place is a place of spirituality, and I feel that spirituality is being violated, and I'm an outsider, but that's just how I feel.
Papa, Earth, Mother, Wakea, Sky, Father, Pacific Ocean, sisters and brothers. Kanaloa, Tangaroa, our ocean way more than what you know from the surface to floor. Cause when you open our native doors, it is secrets that lie in myths, legends and lore. And at the core of what we need to restore is being sustainable and not needing a store. We are the natives of these lands. Hear us roar, the reaping of resources over. Say no more, tell the greedy dummy, we laughing cause it's funny. When you realize you cannot eat the money, your need for greed and your consumption, causing the food chain to malfunction. A system broken because of your corruption, species destructions on your instructions, causing us to have a spiritual eruption. Gotta fight now before you leave us with nothing. New generations got it standing right here. All the children of Moana Nui Akea. Papa, Earth, Mother, Wakea, Sky, Father, Pacific Ocean.
I know that the Hawaiian Kingdom is alive. I know that the Hawaiian Kingdom has been repressed for too many years. And I know that the Hawaiian Kingdom will rise sooner than later.
Somewhere a mother is crying, the ocean is dying, and the politician outright lying. Greed intensifying, please stop denying. Dead rising, poverty multiplying. Over and over again, I'm reciting a pledge to protect what we love until the day I'm dying. Let's fight, brain to brain, no biting. Silly Viking, Lua is counter-fighting, striking. New generations got it standing right here. All the children of Moana Nui Akea. Papa, Earth, Mother, Wakea, Sky, Father, Pacific Ocean, sisters and brothers. Pia no lalo Huiana na moku Kuana kapaya.